Perfect Blue is back in theaters this week as part of the 4K remaster being re-released on screen. I don't know how long it's going to be running in theaters, but if you've never had a chance to see it on the big screen, now is your chance to do so. I'm actually going to tell you guys something over here, a slight bit of a confession. I've never seen Perfect Blue. I know. It's crazy, right? It's one of those blind spots for me. I've been wanting to get to it for as long as I can remember, but every single time I think of finally getting to see it, I always have something else come up in the middle. And now that it's being re-released, I figured, well, where better to go see it for the very first time than on the big screen. And so I went and checked it out this afternoon, and I'm here to talk to you guys a bit about it. In this movie, you follow Mima, who is a pop star who has decided to let go of the group that she's in, Cham, and to essentially become an actress. However, this comes with its own set of challenges because being an actress means really, shedding your image, becoming someone completely different every time, but also taking on some challenging roles as a result of it. And this is something that starts to play with her a lot more as the movie progresses because there are situations that are arising where she's questioning her identity. There are people who are stalking her, who are also trying to have her, become who she was before again. And it's really tampering with how she sees reality and fiction. And as you're seeing that descent happen, you're very much in that, zone with her because certain scenes start to blur into one another and you're constantly thinking to yourself, how exactly is this really playing out? I think what Satoshi Kon accomplished over here is nothing short of remarkable, and it is a fantastically directed and very boldly told story. And seeing all of it play out, and as you're following Mima through this descent into madness, as all the things that are around her start to blur in terms of whether or not they're actually happening or not, and how she's feeling, but also seeing some of the things that she's doing now as an actress and how challenging some of that can be and the reactions to that. It can make for an unsettling experience and one that definitely does leave you feeling a little uneasy at times, but it's also a very vivid piece of storytelling and one that is extremely well realized. The animation that is in this throughout is nothing short of spectacular. The 4K remaster, from my comparisons with the earlier version compared to now, it does look amazing. The colors, the vibrancy to them are extraordinary. And I think just, seeing some of that with the amazing sound design when it comes to the music and the way that the film is edited, it all plays out beautifully. And I think that this is a very solid remaster in that regard. But I was just thinking about this because the editing in this movie is remarkable. Because it, again, like I mentioned, it keeps you in that disoriented state as Mima is for a lot of the movie's runtime. And so as she's performing certain scenes, and even though that those are performances, you also have to think, is she actually performing the scene right now, or is there something that's really happening? Where do things become more real, and where do things stay fiction? And how much of the parallels that are happening on set are playing into her own existence? And as things are becoming more and more surreal in the real world, as well as there seem to be people who are in danger and things that are happening, it becomes even more perilous to have to keep, as you're going through this journey. And the way that Mima's character is realized is fantastic. Like, you really feel her pain and it's really just her anguish as she's witnessing a lot of this. But when you also look at what she's seeing around her and the messages that she's getting, like for example, on the internet, there seems to be someone who has tracked her every movement, and that particular version of her, I say this with quotation marks, is a version of her that she's just trying to leave behind, but it keeps beckoning to her, and it becomes this cyber stalking thing where there's almost this parasocial relationship established between a version that someone wants as compared to what she is trying to do. And the identity crisis that is also building and building because of that, it does really play into that aspect. And parts of that really hit more when you look at it from the current day and age, because if you look at social media today, and if you look at, how pop stars or just, celebrities in general are talked about, every time you see a shift, or every time you see a celebrity do something that is not exactly how you remember them being. Immediately it becomes this thing of what happened, and this, really thing, bizarre aspect of wanting them to be, what they were before, and almost becoming obsessive about wanting to bring it back to that. I mean, there are many significant names that just from that brief description alone would come to mind. Some very famous actors, perhaps you may know from, like, children's TV shows, who eventually, as they grew older, their image changed, and they started to do different things, and they started to explore different avenues, and then fans of those celebrities who were there before, it suddenly becomes this thing of like, but I feel like you are not who you are supposed to be. Why can't you go back to that? And then of course you sprinkle in the more psychological thriller aspect of it, as you're trying to find out who is behind all of this, and how Mima is going to deal with this situation, or how far it's going to go before things become incredibly desperate. It leads to a movie that is remarkable, and like I already mentioned, it is a masterpiece of filmmaking. In fact, that was something that was made even more prevalent with some of the editing, because Mima would be on set sometimes, and whenever she would be doing a scene, sometimes it would be followed by an edit right before she was experiencing something in real life. And because sometimes she would flub up a line, or something wouldn't come out right because she would sort of be in her own headspace, there'd be a second take, and then the edit would sort of bring it back to what you were just seeing before, and the scene is playing out again, and it's like, wait a minute, what do you mean again? We just did this the other day. It's like, oh wait, that did happen, yeah. And then it's another flub. It's like, okay, we got to do another take. And it's like, you're restarting over. The way that it's structured in that sense, that very disorienting sense, as you're again descending into that rabbit hole with Mima, it's the way that it's done, it creates that unnerving experience. It really does like feel like a horror movie in the way that it does so. I mean, it is really, really well done. And again, just going back to how well Satoshi Kon makes this story, come to life on screen, I think he did a marvelous job, as well as everybody involved with it. And that's before there's even bodies involved. There are people who are dying. And when that starts to happen, it gets even more crazy. It's like, well, what the hell is going on, and how exactly, how much more intense is this getting, this connection or lack thereof that someone is trying to have with her, that now something is becoming, it's leading up to a body count being involved in it makes things even more intense, and it makes things even more unnerving to watch as the movie progresses. And all of this is in like an 81-minute runtime or something, like including credits. Again, it's just really, really, tightly scripted stuff. I'm not going to go too much into detail about how things eventually play out, in case you've not seen the movie, like I didn't until today. But if you are somebody who hasn't, I highly recommend checking it out. It is, like I said, in theaters right now, so I do, suggest going and seeing it this weekend if you get a chance to do so, and to really, get a chance to experience it on the big screen. But I think that Perfect Blue is a movie that has been perfect. I mean, it's in the name, since it came out, and I think it will be regarded as perfect for many years to come as well. There are a lot of moments in here that are incredibly uncomfortable and uneasy to watch, especially as you're seeing Mima's time is, in the spotlight, whether she's, in on a set where she's performing a scene, or if it's a photo shoot. And I think, again, just how it plays all of that into everything that we, sort of perceive of someone in that particular limelight, and seeing how all of it eventually plays out towards the climax of the movie, I think it's incredibly poignant and very well told. And I think it's just a phenomenal piece of filmmaking and storytelling. I will give Perfect Blue a very well-deserved 10 out of 10. Not a surprise here. I mean, most people you'll talk to will tell you that it's a pretty great movie, and I'm one of those people in that club. Guys, thank you very much as always for watching. Look forward to more videos very, very soon. And as always, if you like this, please do subscribe, and I will see you guys at the movies.